Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Neelam vows to punish Lakshmi for insulting her during Oli, and she calls the matchmaker and asks the matchmaker to make sure that a husband comes for Lakshmi immediately. Then Karishma was instigating Neelam against Lakshmi, and then Malishka escaped being exposed again. So let's continue from there. Ayush wakes up after the Oli function and he thinks that he slept too much. He checks his face in the phone and thinks that I did not take my bath also. He recalls drinking Tandai and he thinks that what happened after that. He thinks that Rishi is an hopeless man after drinking bang. He says hopeless Ayush and says his head is paining him. Rishi comes to Lakshmi's room and sees her sleeping. He thinks that she has drank so much bang and she is hungry too. He hears Lakshmi murmuring Rishi is marrying Malishka in her sleep, and he thinks if Lakshmi is right that nothing happened between Malishka and him that night, and why will Malishka lie? The matchmaker calls Neelam and asks that how was the Oli. Neelam says it was good. The matchmaker tells Neelam that tomorrow the groom's family will come to see Lakshmi. Malishka comes there and pretends to apologize to Neelam, saying that she doesn't know how she drank bang and says that she doesn't know what she told her under the influence of bang. Neelam asks Malishka not to worry and says you did not do anything wrong, but that inauspicious Lakshmi said so much to me and says very soon Lakshmi will leave from here. Neelam says the groom's family are coming tomorrow. Malishka gets happy and says Sonal told me whatever Lakshmi did. She says that girl should go away from here and all the negativity should go from my life too. Rishi thinks if Malishka did all the planning and pretend that they got intimate, but what did Lakshmi saw? He thinks that his marriage broke with Lakshmi because injustice was about to happen to Malishka. He asks himself if Malishka was pretending about that night, then he will not let any injustice happen with Lakshmi. Rishi goes out closing the door. Lakshmi gets up and thinks that she slept for a long time and she looks at her face in the mirror. Shalu is angry recalling how Malishka acted. She says Malishka was not drunk, she was acting, but she was in her senses. Bani asks her not to think so much and says they will catch Malishka some other time. Shalu says to Bani that she wants to press Malishka's neck and asks her to say the truth. She says my blood is boiling since Malishka accused brother-in-law of getting intimate with her. She says she is angry on Neelam for taking Lakshmi to lock her in the room. She gets angry on Ayush too for ruining their plan by getting drunk. And Bani asks her to be quiet and she makes her drink. Rishi comes to Sonal and asks that where is Malishka. Sonal says she is here alone and she doesn't know where Malishka is. Malishka comes there and taunts Rishi. Rishi says I want to talk to you. He looks at Sonal and Sonal leaves. Rishi asks Malishka if nothing happened between them that night. Malishka asks who asked me this question and she gets angry with Rishi. Rishi says to Malishka that it is my question and says nothing has happened between us that night. Malishka says Sonal told me that Lakshmi said this in front of everyone during Oli and says Lakshmi is the only eyewitness who saw everything. She asks Rishi to agree to Lakshmi's sayings if he wants because he claims Lakshmi to be Devi and Matarani. Malishka says to Rishi that you are asking me this question due to Lakshmi's doubt and tells him that he should feel ashamed to ask me this. She says if you think that I have done conspiracy, then yes, I did the conspiracy, and she asks him to believe whatever he wants to believe and she pretends to be angry. Rishi keeps Malishka's hand on his head and asks her to say the truth. Malishka asks, didn't you feel ashamed to ask me this? Rishi says I don't want to do injustice with you or with Lakshmi, so I want to know the truth. And he asks her to tell him the truth. Malishka says today, you confess to me that you love me and says people who love don't doubt. Rishi asks Malishka to swear and tell him the truth. Malishka says the answer is yes. Lakshmi is saying the truth and Rishi is shocked. Lakshmi thinks if she was drunk. Ayush comes there and says you are asking the wrong person and says even he was drunk. Ahana comes there and says sister-in-law, you woke up and you even took your bath also. Ahana asks if Lakshmi is fine. Lakshmi says her head was heavy when she woke up and she asks if anything happened. Ahana says nothing has happened. Lakshmi makes Ahana swear and Ahana asks her to take back the swear and says she will tell her the truth and Lakshmi takes back the swear. Ahana tells Lakshmi everything that Lakshmi did when she was drunk and everything she said to Karishma and Neelam. Lakshmi cries and says I said all this to Neelam auntie and to Karishma auntie. Ayush asks her not to feel bad and says it is not your mistake, but Lakshmi says that she has done a mistake and she should be scolded. Ahana tells Ayush and Lakshmi what Ayush has done. Ayush and Ahana try to cheer Lakshmi up by laughing. Lakshmi says, I understand that you want to cheer me up, and she asks them to go and they leave. Lakshmi feels guilty for misbehaving with Rishi's family and says, I have to do something. Malishka tells Rishi that Lakshmi said everything truly and nothing happened between them that night. Rishi says, so nothing happened between us. Malishka says no. Whatever Lakshmi said before was true. She tries to instigate Rishi against Lakshmi and says Lakshmi doesn't want them to get married, but even Rishi is believing Lakshmi so much. Malishka says to Rishi that Lakshmi is the only eyewitness of what happened that night, and she asks Rishi to decide if she said the truth before or now. She says Lakshmi is very clever, she does planning and she conspire, and this is the proof. She asks Rishi why he is very confused and says believe whatever you want to. Malishka tells Rishi if he wants to be selfish and thinks about himself only, then he should go ahead. She says she would live with his memories, else she would die. Rishi asks her not to say this again. Malishka says you are doubting on me. No girl lies about this thing because it is her honor. And why would she want to get herself insulted? Malishka asks Rishi if he thinks that she will stoop to this level and she shed fake tears. Rishi says, I'm feeling sorry. I did not want to hurt you. Malishka smiles and then she pretends to cry again. She hugs Rishi and smiles. Bani worries that Neelam and Karishma might scold Lakshmi for what happened during Oli, and Shalu says that she is also scared. Sonal is sitting for dinner with all the family members. She thinks that Malishka should undo everything, else their game will be over. Grandma asks if Lakshmi woke up. Ahana says sister-in-law woke up and she must be coming. Karishma scolds Ahana and asks Grandma why she favors Lakshmi always after everything that Lakshmi has done. Karishma says that she hates Lakshmi because she is inauspicious and bad. Grandma says it is your mind that is dirty. Karishma says you don't have any problem with whatever Lakshmi has done. Neelam says Lakshmi is still here. She has done all this. Lakshmi comes there. Grandma says Neelam was talking about you and you arrived. Virendra says to Lakshmi that everything was incomplete without you. Ayush says yes, and he calls Lakshmi as sister-in-law. Sonia asks, really? Ayush asks if Sonia have any doubt. Ahana asks Ayush to leave it. Grandma turns Sonia and asks her to get answers from herself. Sonia gets up and she throws a jug of water on Lakshmi, but Rishi comes there and pulls Lakshmi and asks her to prevent her from the water, and everyone looks on with mixed reaction. Rishi asks Sonia that what is it? Virendra asks who does this? Rishi scolds Sonia and asks that why did you do this? And Sonia says to wake Lakshmi up. Rishi says to Sonia that so you want to wake Lakshmi up by doing misbehavior. Sonia says I am telling Lakshmi that it will be bad for her if we get insulted, and she still went ahead and insult everyone during Oli. Rishi says I will repeat the words said by Lakshmi and then I will see what you will do with me. Karishma asks Rishi why he is taking Lakshmi's side. Rishi says Lakshmi was not in her senses when she did everything. Karishma asks if Lakshmi got a license to insult them. Ayush says even I was not in my senses and I was behaving like a bike. Karishma scolds Ayush and asks him to keep quiet. Rishi says to Karishma that you want to say that Lakshmi did wrong under the influence of Bang. Then is what Sonia did in her conscious state, right? Karishma says yes. Ahana says how can Sonia throw water on Lakshmi? Karishma gets up and scolds Ahana, but Virendra shouted Karishma and Grandma also scolded Karishma. Lakshmi stops Grandma and she apologizes to everyone and says she is ready to bear any punishment. Rishi says this is Lakshmi and says Lakshmi did not mean whatever she said, and he asks if Lakshmi remember what she said, and Lakshmi nods no. Karishma says finally, Lakshmi accepted her sin, which she never accepted before, and Sonia says this might be Lakshmi's conspiracy. Rishi asks Sonia to keep her mouth closed and says I am telling you for the last time. He asks Karishma to sit and have food. He asks Lakshmi to have food and then decide what punishment she wants. He says we would have food first and he makes Lakshmi sit. Malishka gets upset. Neelam asks Rishi to sit and Rishi sits beside Lakshmi. Neelam tells Rishi and Lakshmi that the groom's family is coming to see Lakshmi tomorrow. She says he is more good than Arav and she asks Rishi about Arav. Rishi says that Arav was good. Neelam says I inquire about this guy and he is really good. I am not Lakshmi's enemy and I want Lakshmi to get married so that I can get Rishi and Malishka married as well. Neelam asks Ayush to sit and she asks Lakshmi if she has any problem with the marriage proposal and Lakshmi nods no. Neelam asks Rishi to be at home so that he can meet them. Later, Ayush calls Shalu and they argue over a voice message. He asks her to go and scold Rishi and says the guy who wants to marry Lakshmi is coming to see Lakshmi. Shalu gets angry and says to Ayush that this is why I wanted to expose Malishka. She says she wants brother-in-law to marry her sister. Ayush says, what do we do? Shalu asks, how is the guy? Ayush says the guy is chosen by Neelam auntie, so it must be good. He asks Shalu not to worry and says, I am here. Shalu thanks God and thanks Ayush and she tells Bani that the groom's family is coming to see Lakshmi. Lakshmi thinks of Neelam's words. Ayush comes there and says, I read your face, and he asks her not to do this marriage and not to leave this house. Lakshmi asks, what are you saying? Ayush says it again. Lakshmi says, I want to do this marriage and I want to leave from here. Ayush asks why. Lakshmi says, this is not my house, so I should leave. Ayush says to Lakshmi that you and Rishi should marry each other. Lakshmi says this is not possible. Rishi should marry Malishka because they love each other. Ayush says Rishi doesn't love Malishka and he loves just you and only you. Sonal and Malishka appreciate Sonia for insulting Lakshmi and Malishka says Lakshmi has insulted me so much. Sonia asks Malishka that how did you know that Lakshmi insulted you so much because you were also under the influence of alcohol. Malishka says Sonal told me how Lakshmi insulted me, Rishi and your mom. Sonia says but Rishi did not let her insult her and Malishka says very soon Lakshmi will go away from here. Sonal says she hears the sound of music and Sonia says Lakshmi will be out of this house and Malishka will come in. Lakshmi says to Ayush that she knows everything and says Rishi loved Malishka and not me and that is why Rishi is marrying Malishka. She says this should happen. Rishi will marry Malishka and I will get married and live from here. Lakshmi says to Ayush that she doesn't want to talk about this. She asks him not to say anything to Rishi. Ayush says, I never thought that I would say this and says that just like we get life once, we get love also once. He says, you are doing wrong and he goes. Lakshmi says, my destiny has decided it and it is better for me to live from here. Lakshmi prays to God. Later, Rishi comes to Lakshmi's room and thinks that she might have gone to do some work. He thinks that he should tie her one leg with his leg so that he can always go wherever she goes. He is about to leave and Lakshmi opens the door and the door hits Rishi's nose and he feels pain and Lakshmi says sorry. Rishi says my nose is broken. Lakshmi asks him to show her his nose and asks if he is acting. Rishi shows his nose. Lakshmi sees it red. Rishi says my nose is cut. Lakshmi says yes, it is cut. Rishi asks Lakshmi to understand his emotions and says his nose is broken. He asks Lakshmi to understand his feelings looking at him and Lakshmi looks on. I definitely don't understand what is wrong with Zeeworld dubbing these days. They are dubbing this series and they are making it look like I don't understand. First of all, they changed almost everybody's voice in the series recently. Like some days ago, everybody's voice just started sounding somehow. The only people that are still sounding the same are Malishka and maybe Lakshmi. Others, they've changed their voice. And what is Shalalu or Shululu or what are they calling Shalu again? I don't get it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.